hi, Aiden. Well batted yesterday. I just wanted to know, did you do anything different? And also, was that an innings that you felt like it was quite satisfying, and did you get a lot of confidence after you struggled in your previous 8 innings in Asia?
Thanks, Dennis. Firstly, look, I don't think I changed too much. I think we had the chance to learn from other Pakistanis played their first innings from a batting perspective, and just observing how they went about it was something I felt comfort with. The ability to back your defence, even in conditions that maybe really start to turn, is quite important. So that's one of the things that I maybe not changed, but really bought into. And then from a satisfaction thing, I think there is a bit I can take from the knock for sure. There is that little bit of confidence for me personally, obviously from what I've been through in the sub. But ideally, in the ideal world, you would love to kick on. So close to the end of stumps last night. If I could have managed to find my way through that and maybe start over today, could have just helped settle the change room and allow for us to post a bigger target at the end of the day. So that's the part that obviously I'm to blame for. But like I said, there is also that element of confidence which I'll try to take from the innings.
Hi, Aiden. Well batted. Your first half century on the subcontinent, and you spent a lot of time at the crease. Do you feel like this could be a bit of a breakthrough, that you now have even if it's just sort of mentally, that you kind of crossed a bridge when it comes to batting on the subcontinent?
Look, Ken, by no means is it all of a sudden a finished product, but I'm sure it's albeit a small step, at least is a step in the right direction for myself. So I think that's how I'm trying to see it. Obviously, there's still lots of learning and growing to do for myself in conditions like these. So yeah, that's how I'm going to look at it. I think first innings, we can all admit it looked like a really good batting wicket. So to miss out there was frustrating, but it was, at the end of the day, I felt quite a good ball from Shaheen. So that's just one of those you just brush aside and try to crack on. So a slightly different innings for me personally. It was quite challenging to accept, really spending time and not worrying about scoring. But it was one of the things that had to be done on a wicket like that. So different for me, but nice to have experienced it as well.
How would you compare the conditions and the challenges and difficulties here to what you faced in Sri Lanka and India? And are there any similarities that you could draw on some experiences from there, or is it very different?
I wouldn't say it's very different for those. I do think, though, that however at the start of the test match, it actually is still very nice to bat. This wicket was, with regards to seam, very low. The longer you bat it, the lower it got. Which posed its own challenge, to be honest, putting spin aside. So I do believe maybe the first innings is very nice to bat. In the subcontinent, if I'm not mistaken, the games I've been a part of haven't won a toss and batted first. I think we've always fielded first. And I think in those cases, the opposition batted big. So we ultimately started batting when the ball started turning. But it felt like it was maybe would take a little bit longer to start turning here in a test match, but once it started turning, then certainly very similar to what we experienced in Sri Lanka and in India.
Aram?
What would you say was the turning point of South Africa's second innings? Was it the wicket of Rassie van der Dussen, because you had quite a long partnership with him, and you suddenly lost 3 wickets? So would you say that was the key wicket that changed the game in Pakistan's favor?
Look, it's difficult to pinpoint a certain wicket that can be the difference in a whole 4 days of Test cricket. It obviously was a big moment because we were building a nice partnership together, and it spent a lot of time. And naturally, we understood that it would be tough for a new batter to come in at that time of day just to get through the stumps. I think it's important to understand it wasn't a case of us throwing our wickets away. They put enough balls in the right areas and eventually got their reward for it. So that's almost how it felt like. We tried. Unfortunately, that cluster of wickets fell at the end of day's play yesterday, which ultimately did put us. It's almost like taking a few steps forward, but a few more steps backwards, if that makes sense.
Ji sir, Assalamu alaikum.
Final questions are from Telford Leighton, Kanyiso, and Khalid.
How's it, Aiden? I kind of want to say congratulations and bad luck all in the same breath. But I just wondered, is there anything you can take from growing up on South African pitches and move it over to what it takes to be successful batting-wise in the subcontinent? Or is it just completely foreign, chalk and cheese?
I think conditions-wise, naturally, it's extremely different. But if I maybe think on the mental side of things, there's times maybe in South Africa or in seamer-friendly conditions where you maybe have to be brave and try something different. Or ultimately something is new to you and you have to try it out. And I think maybe it's the same here with these conditions. So I think it's maybe that adaptability with having the plans in place if needs be to chop and change between them. But in terms of conditions itself, obviously very different. But maybe that's one thing that you can try to take from home that can maybe help you. Yeah.
My name is Khalid. I'm from Uniform. My question to you is, what was
Leighton.
like? Sorry.
Hi, Aiden.
Khalid.
Congrats on the.
Sorry, Leighton, can you just stop for a minute? Thanks.
Aiden, congrats on the knock. Just in terms on what you said of kicking on after getting in. How much will that dominate the conversation amongst the batters ahead of the next test? Do you think it's something that you guys will really have to look at?
Look, I think if you look back on most international tours that happen in the subcontinent, it is generally very difficult for a new batter to get in. It's something we have highlighted on previous tours and this tour, of course. So we understand that maybe your first 20-30 balls is vitally important. And it is something we have highlighted, yes, but it's obviously difficult for a reason, and we highlight it for a reason, and that's because it genuinely is tough to get in against a spinning ball like it was, for example, yesterday evening. So we have addressed it. We've addressed the fact that we want to stop losing wickets in clusters. So our thought process is certainly heading in the right direction. Now it just comes down to getting it right out in the middle when it matters. But we have highlighted it and made a note of it, and hopefully we can turn it around in the next game.
Hi, Aiden. My question to you is that the way you and Rishi were batting last night, what was the conversation, what was the talk between the two of you during that long partnership? And would you say that the pitch behaved dramatically over the course of the 4-day match, 3.5 days of play?
Can you please repeat that? Sorry, I don't know.
Sorry, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to know what was the conversation between the two of you last night when the partnership was going very well for South Africa, and would you say that the pitch over the period of time from day one to Friday today, it changed very much, or it was all the same?
Look, the conversation between myself and Rassi was, we both had game plans, and we kept really telling each other to stay committed to that game plan, although we were scoring very slowly. We felt like as soon as we left our game plan, they would have the chance to strike. And then, like I previously mentioned, it would be difficult for the next man in to get in as well. So that was sort of the conversation Rassi and I had. In terms of the pitch, I do think it changed over the 3.5 days that it's been now. However, I still think it started spinning more and more off the straight as the game went on. naturally when their two spinners bowled into the rough to the left-hander, it would spin. In our first innings, it wasn't spinning off the straight, and I felt like the longer we batted in our second innings, it was spinning more off the straight, which shows that conditions did change slightly.
We're out of time, guys, so we'll go with the final question. Kanyisa?
Aiden, hard luck about the game. What kind of conversations are you guys having with regards to arresting South Africa's very poor form on the subcontinent? With I think it's eight consecutive test losses now.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, we're having conversations obviously to try get wins under the belt. You also have to understand that we're touring specifically this tour with a lot of new faces and a lot less experience than maybe we did in the past. So that also needs to be taken into consideration. But it's quite important that on tours like these, I know this isn't a long test series, but that you don't make the same mistakes and the same mistakes that you've made in previous tours. So I'll be honest, from a personal perspective, I think the thing that helped me was just spending time out in the middle and eventually feeling like you can find a way to score. So I think that'll be the focus going forward. I must take my hat off to our bowling unit. I thought they tried their hardest and really ran in regardless of the situation of the game, which was pleasing to see. And they found a way to strike pretty regularly throughout their bowling efforts, which was good. But yeah, I think it comes down to the bat. It's maybe being a good start and that allowing the change room just to relax a bit and maybe that can set us off in a good direction.